a 2005 Mercedes Sprinter that had already been converted for $16,000, but I needed to have some work done. And today I'm going to share what I've done to get the van ready for the road, and I'll tell you how much each item cost me. Hi, my name is Nicole. Welcome to my channel, Travel to Money, where I believe the road to financial freedom can and should be fun. Let's start by going over a few basics of the van I purchased. Some of the things I really wanted in a van were to be able to stand upright, seating separate from a fixed bed. I knew I wanted a Sprinter because of the long-lasting engines, and I wanted the ability to shower and use a toilet, even if they weren't the most convenient options on the van. The sacrifices in this particular setup are that the shower is on the outside and there is no complete bathroom inside, and this is mostly due to the fact that it's only a 14-foot van, so it doesn't have the extra length that you often see in converted Sprinters. The thing is, so many other vans that were more than twice the price of this one didn't even have as many options as this one did. This came with a working kitchen sink and a 40-gallon water reserve, a brand new porta potty toilet, a couple of solar panels on the roof, an instant hot water heater, a max air fan, a portable air conditioner, and the van was wired for electricity with lights in the cabin as well as little reading lights over the bed that have USB chargers. There is also an electrical pop-up behind the microwave that came with the regular AC outlets as well as more USB charging options. The van also came with a cooler looking refrigerator that goes between the two front seats. There is a diesel heater for the cabin that just hasn't been wired yet, and the front passenger seat swivels. Additionally, the door that goes into the back garage area can also be turned into a table, and on the side of the cabinet by the door, there is a little pop-up table there too. In the back, you have a pull-out storage area that also has a lift top, and they also threw in the propane stove that is stored there. Lastly, it came with a pop-out side tent that I've never opened, but it's there if I ever want to use it. So all in all, a pretty good little setup for an old van and at a really good price point. They definitely covered a lot of details, and it's not perfect, but a really good start. Before purchasing the van, I had a mechanic come out and do a full inspection to make sure there were no big mechanical or body issues. The previous owner did point out some rust to me, which is a pretty big deal, so I knew if I purchased this van, I'd need to have some work done to get the body in a bit better shape. Another thing was that there were splotches where they had done some paint repair, and the white wasn't the same color as what was on the rest of the van, so that didn't look so great. As far as the mechanics, the only other issues were with the door locks, which didn't work. The next big ticket item was going to be figuring out electricity for off-grid camping. I would also need to figure out security for the van and take her out on a few short trips to get an idea of how I would use it and decide if I wanted to make any other changes. The last thing I needed to figure out would be how I'm going to stay connected with the internet. Right away, I began to look into van security options. I decided to have the windshield and the two front windows coated in a ceramic treatment. What this does is it helps to prevent chips or cracks and makes the window a lot harder to break if someone is trying to break into the vehicle. Instead of just shattering the glass, even if it cracks, it continues to hold it all together, making it more difficult for a thief, which can help to be a deterrent. But in addition to the added strength, it's like having a rain coating on the windshield, as it helps the rain to just run right off. I paid $250 to have it professionally applied, but that also included them coming to my home to do it. They also ended up giving me a referral for rust and paint repair that was really helpful. He knows all the players in my local industry, so told me the shops to avoid that would overcharge me and let me know a good place for a budget paint job. He said the paint place may be able to do the rust repair, so that's where I went next. If you're in the Central Florida area, I'll leave his business info in the description if you want to look into coating your windows or even the paint on your car. So I took the van to the paint shop he mentioned, and the level of my rust repair was more than they could handle, so they referred me to a welder just a couple of miles from them. They said to take it to him first, and then I'd be able to bring it back to them for the paint job. So I take the van to the welder, and man, this guy was awesome. He got under the van and took a look at all the damage, which was pretty extensive. He cut and welded new pieces of metal, even fixing one rusted safety issue, and also coated the new metal in that textured paint paint that is going to help prevent rust in the future, and did all of this for just $500. Now, he also offers paint services, but he does custom paint work that would cost 3 or 4 times more than the budget shop. He was really upfront with me about it and said, if you just want a basic white paint that's not too expensive, definitely go with the other shop. So he let me leave the van with him for 2 months while I was in Spain, did the rust repair, and even took the van over to the place for the paint job. Initially, the other paint shop quoted me $1,000 for the new paint job, but they only ended up charging $750. We didn't do the top of the van because it didn't need it, and it would require removing solar panels that cover half of the roof anyway. This is an old van, so it's not like I'm wanting to invest $4,000 in a custom paint job. I also like that this just looks like a work van and makes it a little more stealthy and less intrusive for camping. Now, the AC had been blowing cold when I bought the van, but as it was getting warm in Florida, I noticed that it was in need of a recharge or something. So the guy that repaired the rust referred me to his mechanic just 2 doors over. It turns out I had a leak in one of the hoses. So they got my AC running cool for just $252. And the last item, as far as the mechanics of the van, was dealing with the door locks. We ended up needing to purchase new actuators. Rather than buying ones through the shop, the guys at the shop agreed to replace them with actuators that I purchased. I ordered them on rockauto.com. You can get manufacturer and OEM parts there, usually for much less. The total cost, including the parts and labor to replace the actuators on 3 doors, was $828. Part of the labor cost being expensive was due to having to remove the side door as well as the cabinet that is in the van. So that's all of the maintenance and body work I had to take care of to get the van ready. Now let's talk about power. I went over this in more detail in another video, but I really went down a rabbit hole trying to learn about power for van life. It's more complicated than I imagined, but I was able to quickly figure out what the best option would be for me. Now, before I get into the details, I want to explain that even though I am a budget person, I'm also not broke, and I will invest in something that is high quality, especially if I think it's going to impact my daily quality of life. Not only that, but in my case, I'm going to be working from the road and I need electricity to power that work. So I invested in a battery that is 3,600 watts and can even power my little condo if we have a hurricane rip through Florida. So I know this will come in handy even outside of van life. The other impressive thing about this battery is that it can completely recharge using a regular wall outlet in just 90 minutes. That is super impressive. For my needs, this battery can last about 4 to 5 days in the van. So that means I can recharge in a Starbucks for an hour and a half and be back on the road off grid for another 4 to 5 days. But that's not the only way I can charge it. I also got the package with 400-watt portable solar panels. So if I want to pull those out, I can recharge it on solar while I'm off grid in about 11 hours. One day of sunshine can give me 4 to 5 days of power. But that's not all. I can also plug it into my DC outlet in the van while I'm driving and charge it that way. If you're going to be driving for a full day, this could be a great way to recharge the battery, but of course you don't want to run the car just to do that. It's really going to be most beneficial for topping off your battery on short drives or maybe a full charge if you have a really long drive. But wait, that's not all. They also made an adapter that you can purchase for about $100 that allows you to recharge your battery at EV charging stations. This particular battery would take between 1 to 2 hours to recharge at an EV station. There are just so many options for keeping you self-sufficient on the road. Now, let's talk about battery usage for a minute. The reason I determined that I could use it for 4 to 5 days is because I took it out for a couple of 2-night excursions. I ran the Max Air Fan all night. I used the microwave several times per day. Yes, this thing can power a microwave. I use it for lights in the van in the evenings and charging a couple of phones and computers, as well as a little bit of usage for the water pump and water heater. Now, what I haven't used it for yet is the portable air conditioner I have in the van. So I'll have to get back to you on future videos to let you know how much life I get out of that if I have to run the AC all night. The thing is, I'm trying to avoid super hot weather. I'm spending the summer traveling the north part of the US in some places that I know should stay cooler, but I also anticipate at least a few nights of wanting to run the AC, so I should have more data points in the coming months. Be sure to subscribe so you'll see all those updates as I have more info. I will also have links to all of the products and services I mentioned today, so check out those in the description. Okay, now I would be totally fine with just the one battery, but I was interested in buying a smaller, more portable battery. I found someone on Facebook Marketplace who was selling a Jackery Explorer 1000 for just $500 and it was unopened. I probably wouldn't have purchased a Jackery because for the power you get, you're mostly just paying for their brand. But in this case, I was getting it about half priced. So I actually use this to power my fridge in the van because the fridge sits between the front seats and isn't close to a power outlet. To give you an idea, I just traveled for about 24 hours and it powered the fridge the entire time, powered a recharge of my phone, a recharge of my laptop, and a recharge of my Bose headphones, and still had about 20% battery left. I just like the convenience of keeping it near the front of the van so that I can use it as a secondary power source. The other nice thing is that if I want to do some work in the great outdoors, I can carry this with me over to a picnic table or something and have all the power I need. I mean, it's still heavy. It's not like I'm going to take it on a hike, but I don't need a second person to lift it with me like I would my other battery. All right, now let's get back to van security for a minute. I don't want to pay for van monitoring, and I didn't want something that required the internet to be connected all the time. So I wanted to set up as many deterrents as possible. I purchased a steering wheel lock, which would help prevent the van itself from being stolen and may just deter someone from breaking a window if they see it. The one I ordered was $36. Next, I purchased small stickers that explain that the van has video surveillance. I wanted smallish ones, which were $8. You can purchase these just as a deterrent, but in my case, I will have video surveillance. The next thing I purchased is a motion detector. I'm going to install this in the back cabin of the van and put the alarm portion that I can turn on and off in the front of the van. This way I can open the van and turn it on or off from the front cab without setting off the alarm in the back. That cost me $30. The next thing I needed was a video camera, and I really wanted something that's not super obvious or intrusive and something that doesn't have to be connected to the internet. So I chose a body cam actually. This records to an SD card and is super small. I'll have this positioned in the back of the van as well. This had a $40 price tag, so a motion detector that sounds an ear-piercing alarm, a video camera to capture anyone dumb enough to break in, extra strength from the coating on the windshield, video camera warning stickers, and a steering wheel lock. It may not be the perfect security system, but I think it's going to help deter most theft. The last thing I really needed was good internet. I ended up opting for the Starlink package. My initial order was $662 for the mobile setup. I didn't purchase the one that you install on the top and have while you're driving. I only purchased the one that you set up outside your van each time you stop and park. A benefit to this is that you will always have internet and you only need to pay for the months you use it. It is currently $150 per month. This bums me out a little bit because I could buy the exact same thing in Spain for like $250 and the monthly service there is less than $100 per month. Exact same service, about half the price. Anyhow, what can you do? Okay, so that means that in total, to get the van ready for the road, I spent $6,756. A big chunk of that was on the big battery and solar panels, which cost me $2,900. The only things this doesn't include is an oil change and changing out a headlight. Some of the items, like I mentioned before, were definitely optional, but I think this van is about ready for anything now. I hope this video has been helpful to you. Let me know in the comments if you would have done anything differently and if you have any other cool ideas or questions I can help you with. I'd love to chat with you there. Do me a solid, like this video and subscribe to join me every day where travel and adventure build financial freedom. I can't wait to see where your dreams will take you.